Hi.
Hi.
How old are you?
I'm 38 years old.
Where were you born?
I was born in Turkey.
Where did you grow up?
Half of my life I grew up in Turkey and the rest in Canada.
Okay, were your parents born?
They were born in Turkey.
When did your parents came to Canada?
My father came in 1986 and my mom and I we were here in 1994.
Okay. Why was Canada chosen?
Actually, Canada wasn't my option. It was my father's option, so we basically were following him.
Okay, so why he chose Canada?
Because of financial reasons. Better opportunity, better life standards.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any brothers and sisters?
I have two brothers.
Okay, where are they born?
They were born in Turkey also.
Okay, what's the occupation of your parents?
My father works in construction right now.
And your mom?
Mom is a housewife.
Thank you. What's your marital status?
I'm married.
How would you describe your ethnic background? Like Moroccan, Berber, Pakistani, Indonesian, Iranian, Kurd, Turkish?
I'm Turkish. I'm half Turkish actually, half Kurdish.
Okay, thank you. And how would you describe your religious background, identity? Were religious, atheist, liberal, Sufi, Salafi?
I'm Muslim. Hanifi Muslim.
Thank you. Are you a long-term or short-term resident of Canada?
I'm a citizen, Canadian citizen.
Thank you. How long have you lived in Canada?
23 years.
Okay, thank you. What's your highest education degree?
High school.
Thank you. What kind of elementary and secondary school did you attend?
It was a public school.
Okay, thank you. Are you employed?
Yes, I'm employed.
Okay. What's your current occupation or profession?
I'm a carpenter by trade.
Thank you. Has your internet usage increased or decreased in the last 5 years?
It actually increased.
Okay. On average, how many hours per day or per week or per month do you use the internet?
Probably, I should say at least 2 hours a day.
Okay, including like the apps and cell phone and checking mails?
Probably not. Probably probably it'll increase by, I should say, another hour.
So 3 hours? So
3 hours, yeah.
Like per week, more like 20 hours, 25 hours?
25 hours. Yeah.
Okay. So on the topic of what do you online? Do you use internet for religious or spiritual life?
Partially, yes.
And how is the internet impacting or affecting your religious or spiritual practices, beliefs, values, or attitudes?
Actually, it's decreasing the values. Like person is decreasing the values because
values?
Yes, because you're spending more time on the internet instead of researching on concentrating on Islam or your religion.
Okay, thank you. Do your faith beliefs and practices affect how you use the internet and what you do online?
Yes, it does. It does.
So, do you have any faith-based limitations then?
Of course, I can't go through the expletive, I should say, websites.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Do you think the internet enhances your faith or operates more as a distraction or change your faith in any way?
I think internet is more as a distraction.
Thank you. So it works for you for better or for worse?
Well, I should say half and half. It's not exactly. I can't say better or worse, but there's of course it has both. It has its own spot. It works better. Sometimes it doesn't. It depends on the situation.
Could you explain the situations? Just a small example, maybe.
I should say instead of instead of studying or concentrating on praying, we spend on watching movies.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bad situation for me. So,
thank you. What does it mean you to be a Muslim living in Canada?
Actually, it does. I never realized. Like, I haven't seen anything against me or against Islam in Canada. Canada is a totally beautiful country to live in, and when it comes to living Islam, I haven't seen anybody or anything that being against my living of Islam. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How do you identify yourself religiously and nationally? Like, do you see yourself as a Canadian Muslim, a Muslim Canadian, or any other thing?
Also, I see myself as a Muslim Canadian because I live most of my life in Canada. So,
Thank you. Do you tend to have friends? Yes. Do you have tend to friends of the same ethnic or religious background as you, or not?
no, not really, not necessarily. I have friends from all. I have Canadian. I have lots of Canadian friends, and also I have different. From I say Pakistan, India, different nationalities, also different ethnics.
Okay. Any reason why this might so be?
There's no reason. I think it's the Canada that, and also it's just the ethnic, it's the diversity in Canada. I guess that's the reason. It's just you have to be that way.
Thank you. And has the circle of your offline friends changed as you grow older? Like the numbers of your friends and also the type of your friends, like from different ethnics or religious background, it changed as you grow older in Canada?
It does actually. Honestly, it just, as you grow, like when you're younger, you have more different friends from different ethnics. But as you grow, you basically being more attached to your own culture, your own people.
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Has the circle of online friends changed also?
Online friends? Not really. I am not a big fan of online friends, but it doesn't really change. It stays same.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. Do you change your way of behaving depending on the ethnic or cultural background of the group of friends you are with?
Well, I have to pass that question. I really,
Okay.
I never thought about that.
Like,
but
for example, what about when you're with Muslims versus non-Muslim friends? Like, is there kind of difference in your behaving, or it's
no, it doesn't. It doesn't. My behavior doesn't change. I always represent myself. So it's just if I'm a to begin with, if I'm a Muslim, I'm a Muslim. I'm a Turkish, I'm Turkish. It doesn't change that. Nothing.
Okay, thank you. What about the online? Do you change your behaviors?
No, I don't.
It's the same.
It's
Okay,
the
thank
same.
you. Do you feel a generational or cultural, linguistic, or religious gap with your parents?
I'm the second generation. Not really. No.
Like you're acting differently outside home and in home you're acting differently?
No, it doesn't change anything.
Thank you. Would you discuss with your parent all online interests and activities with your parents?
No, I don't.
Okay, why?
But I don't know. I just don't find their right because they're not really into. They're not an internet person, I should say.
Okay, thank you. Does gender play a role in how you socialize, or do you not socialize or interact with some people?
Yes, it does.
Okay, who do you socialize with? Mainly with the same gender?
Yes.
Any ethnic, religious, or intellectual preferences?
Not really. No.
Thank you. Where do you socialize? Park, community centers, coffee shops?
Usually community centers and coffee shops.
Okay. If you wish to remain gender segregated, how is this maintained online? Like only talk with man or woman, like if you want to maintain it.
I'd probably maintain it with men. Like
how you manage this? Like you don't become a friend with the ladies or?
Well, I still talk to them, but I try not to become friends.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Thank you. Do you find that online communities offer opportunities to find friends, companions, or a life partner spouse?
Yes, it does actually, yes.
Have you used online communities this way?
No, I never did.
Thank you. How has the internet affected the way you feel connected to your Muslim and non-Muslim friends in Canada or in other places?
Actually, the affection is good because most of the time I know what's going on. Into internet, yeah. Like it's more of a communication among Muslim people. That's how I use it as.
Okay, thank you. Which online communities or groups are you following?
Like online community, like usually I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And there's of course internal groups in there to follow.
So you have like kind of certain groups, online groups like the Muslim Youth or the...
yes, things like that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Does information you find online and the communities or people you relate to online affect your religious practices and beliefs offline?
Not really. I usually look when I find out something, when I learn something from internet, I still question it. go after it and find what's the real answer is.
Thank you. Do you use online media in the practice of your faith? Like you are using internet to buy religious goods?
Not really, no, I don't.
Accessing the religious literature like the reading Quran, the recitations?
Yes.
And application, like using applications for the praying or...
praying time, yes, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, does your usage of internet include visiting sites to read Quran?
Say use internet. It does actually,
Okay,
yes.
and looking like the fiqh, Islamic fiqh, searching about the issues.
Yes, I do.
And hadith searching,
Yes.
Islamic blogs,
Yes, I do.
Arabic language instruction websites.
Not really. But,
Okay.
yeah.
How do you decide whether an Islamic site is authentic or appropriate and that you can trust it?
Usually I try to follow in my own method, and I try to follow the people that I know.
Okay, so...
And people that know, basically, the name-wise.
Okay, so I see. What signs do you look for to ensure a website is authentic or appropriate, like Islamic website?
I look at the ayahs and I look at the description they give, basically. Hadith and ayah, basically.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
What are the Islamic websites that had the most influence on you or that affected your beliefs and practices? Do you have any...
Not particular website.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. When you visit websites, are particular school of the mazhab important in your determination of their appropriateness?
It is important.
Okay. If you attend a mosque or a community center that is affiliated with a particular school of the mazhab, does it have an impact on your selection of the Islamic website?
No, it doesn't.
Okay, so do you accept or are you open to all interpretations and doctrines of Islam?
Yes, I am open.
What kind of information do you find most... Yes, what kind of information do you find most helpful in an online context? Like in comparison with an offline engagement with your religious beliefs and practices? That online context or online is much better for you, or kind of easier to access?
Of course, it's always easier to access, especially these days when you have the phone. When you come across something, you just search it, and at least you'll have an idea. Like I'm a type of person that don't go with whatever I find on internet. I still research. I still have to look at it. But at that point, whatever, if I'm satisfied, I still follow that.
Okay. Are there certain situations or moments where online spaces offer better support or Islamic information than offline spaces? Like for more private matters?
It does. It does.
Mm-hmm. Could you just give kind of...
like especially a situation, if you have a situation in your marriage, that's the main part, and with your kids, when you do a research on internet, I don't know how reliable it is, but sometimes it's enough to satisfy you on that situation, whatever the situation is. So basically that it. Most of the time it's the family matters, the things that you try to keep it private, right?
Okay, I see. Thanks so much. What are your feelings encountering online interpretations that differ or conflict with your own beliefs or practices? Like you're Sunni and you have the kind of Shia interpretation or the secular or Wahhabi interpretation. What's your feelings? Are you okay with them, or you don't agree with them, or how's your reaction?
Can I pass that question?
Yeah, sure. What would you consider a radical or very conservative website?
It's I should say, when it's radicals, like in Islam, when you do things over more than what you're supposed to do, I find it as a radical. And I should say, I don't know, Wahhabis, Salafis, I'll find them radical.
Okay, thank you. Have you encountered such a radical or very conservative websites?
No, never.
Do you think they are easily identifiable, those websites, radical websites?
Not really, not necessarily. It's little things. Sometimes they do it on purpose, and they go by, little things, changing words, and without you realizing.
Okay, thank you. How would you describe them? Like, have a website.
How would I describe them?
Yeah.
If there's things that those websites most of the time when they're against Prophet alayhi salam or hadith or an ayah, it's not in the book. It's not in the book or it's not in the ayah, but they're still implementing as a part of Islam, part of religion. Then I should describe it that way. It's like if you have a knowledge, of course. If you don't have a knowledge, probably you're in that water anyways. You can't do much.
Okay, you cannot identify that.
Yeah.
Okay, if you seek an Islamic fiqh online, do you believe that should be interpreted for a Muslim minority context, like a fiqh issue, fatwa, when it is in Turkey or in Saudi Arabia or in Iran, it should be interpreted differently. But when it comes to minority context like Canada, it should be interpreted differently.
I think so. I think it should be interpreted differently.
Okay.
Because the situation changes.
Thank you. So do you see interpretation of religious texts such as the Quran, Hadith or legal fatwas as unchanging irrespective of place, time or context, or they're changing?
I think it's changing. It's the living is changing. The situation is